fucking got it! Check that fucking... Oh!
Did you know in Japan they have microfishing, where the whole point is to catch the smallest fish possible? And I'm not going to lie, that kind of hooked me. So I became hyper obsessed with the hobby for a couple of weeks, and I was determined to make my own rod. So I decided to make this. Now, it's not bad, but putting it together is... it's okay, but it's a wee bit cumbersome. Now, I'm quite happy how it worked out, but storing it and travelling and all that, it wasn't really the best, and I thought I could do better. I quite like the handle though, I made that on a wee mini lathe. It could work, but I still never caught a fish on it, and I was thinking, I can do better, especially with my 3D printer, my new Bambu Lab A1. Now, if any of you have ever 3D printed before, you'll know that telescopic designs, while cool, have a vulnerability. They're printed this way, so it means that they're the weakest at that point. So if you actually wanted to make a fishing rod out of a 3D printer, you'd either need to make this really thick, which would take a lot of plastic, or you're going to have to use a different method, which I decided to go for. Say hello to the rectangle. Now the rectangle is very, very strong. It's printed like this, so it's really strong, and if we do it with them all, it gives them a lot more strain, a lot more strength than its counterpart. Still a little bit of bend, but that was an exaggerative example. Now I quite liked this, but we had a couple of problems. For example, here's one of the earlier prototypes, but that did not extend. So the goal was to get it to go just about the same as that, if not better. So, nope. Then the next one was, watch. That one was close, that one was close. And these ones. What's going on here then? That bit was quite good. But we really want one of those. Abracadabra. Abracadabra. That one was close. That went the wrong way. So I wasn't happy with that one. That was more. A lot smaller. Very different. All the different pieces, because every piece didn't like to fit, because we're talking about 0.1mm tolerances with some of these bits and some of these bits and stuff like that. And you'd be surprised what a 0.1mm tolerance would do. Like, that's the difference of it going from here and all the way to here, which is really surprising. The end mechanism actually came from the one that's inside this one. I'm really happy with it. As you can see, it goes to just about the same, if not a little bit more. Tinkercad, Fusion 360. Gotta love Fusion for all those little chamfers and fillets. Really helped a lot. And then, here is the finished result. Compared to the original. The original does beat it a little tiny bit, but I think that the stableness, the rattle factor, and the overall design will make up for that one little bit there. So here is the first 3D printed prototype, and I was really happy with it because it was fully made in Tinkercad. For all yous that know how Tinkercad works, feel for me. I've only just moved to Fusion 360 and I'm much happier for it. But the idea is you take the bottom off, which releases your weight in your hook. You pull out your telescopic bit, and that's you ready to go. So the only issue with this one was it didn't really cast very well. It could get a nice wee start if you give it, but the goal was to eventually improve it. But I sat on this one for a couple of months because fishing weather wasn't very good, and then eventually I finally got out to get a shot of it. Cut to clip.
Fucking got it on the 3D printed fish. Check that fucking shit out. Oh! Yeah, boy! Yeah, I've got the worms.
So after the excitement of finally catching my first fish with it, I knew I had to double down and design this the best that it could be. So I actually sat down and learnt Fusion 360 for it, and we went from this to this. Now, it came out quite nice, the eyelets and all that, but I'm quite happy how I went from Tinkercad to Fusion 360. Like, and the process was actually not too bad. It looked scary to begin with, but we eventually got there. So it's even got its little cap. But tolerances weren't the best fits. We got a not bad bit there. Too much wiggle. Can't have that. Can't have that. Too much wiggle. I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs when he said that the customer experience is key at the end, and any sort of wiggle and noise will annoy the customer. I'm a heavy believer of that. So the wiggle and that had to go. So then, working with the tolerances, we started getting closer and closer to the result that we were wanting, until eventually we got this. Now this is the final version that's released on MakerWorld, and it's actually on one of the competitions, #Basecamp Anywhere. Now, I'm really happy with the results for this, because this fulfilled a need that I wanted, which was to have a mini collapsible rod that I could have on me at all times, or all fishing times, and then aim for the smaller fish if the bigger fish are not having it. So we have our hook and weight safely stored in the bottom. We have a reliable telescopic line, and once it starts going, it's going, and then to reel it in, it's kind of like a little bait caster. Now I understand that's a 1-to-1 ratio reel right there, but like the fact it's got a reel at all is really good. And then when you're finished with it, you just store it in its little pocket and away. Now I'm really happy how this turned out, and I hope you guys are too. It's currently on MakerWorld for use to download for free. All boosts, likes and interactions help greatly. As I said, it's entered into the Basecamp Anywhere competition, where the theme was to be able to have a compact gadget that expands into use and can be stored away when not. And I feel that this fits that theme really well. Hopefully, when we get some better weather, I'll go out and catch some fish with it and post some more videos so you can get a look. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey, and have a great day.